Hey guys, Ray from Love You RV. So I'm just back with a little update on my Starlink internet system. This is the first year we've been able to bring it down south with us. Last time down, the Canadian hardware wasn't allowed in the US. But now they have a feature for us called Portability. So I still have the residential Starlink system. I find it works fine in British Columbia. I can actually move my address, and I want to keep the residential if I can because it's prioritized on the system. So if you have a residential service address, you'll get faster speeds. So when I go down south, though, I have to turn on portability and pay a little bit extra. So being the first time, we've now gone, I think, about a dozen places and used it. So I'm kind of back with a report on how it's performed for us because I'm getting quite a few questions and comments about that. So I thought I'd do a quick video. So here we go. We'll start with where it's actually worked. You can see we've gone to 12 different locations that I've used the Starlink, starting up here in Port Angeles and coming through Washington over on the Oregon coast, and then down Interstate 5, a couple casino stops. And then once we got down in the southwest, it's worked good here in the desert. Up in Sacramento right here, I guess because it's such a huge population, we noticed a slowdown at night. Some of our streaming would kind of buffer, or we really noticed that the resolution would go down. You know, oftentimes if you're watching YouTube or Netflix, if you're not getting a good speed, so the resolution will drop, get a little bit blurry. But overall, every other place has been fine. Speeds are averaging anywhere from around 50 to 100 megabytes per second, and then the upload is somewhere around 5 to 15. It kind of varies, but overall I don't really even do speed tests that much anymore. Just as long as it's all the internet pages are loading snappy and our uploads and downloads are fast, and mostly the streaming, and none of it other than Sacramento, we haven't even noticed buffering on any of the nighttime streaming when we're watching TV. As far as cost goes, you know, when I first started this Canadian, they were charging about 140 something Canadian. That was back when it was $99 US. That was during the beta period. Once it got out of beta, they did a price increase. So the last while I've been paying 156.80 Canadian, which is 114 US right now with the exchange rate. So then when you add the portability option, it's an extra 30 bucks Canadian, so it bumped me up with the taxes 190.40, which is 138 USD. So that's more expensive than I would use if I had some type of cell package down here. Last time when we couldn't use the dish down here, we had a Cricket MiFi, and I think the 100 gigs for that deal was pretty good. It was 55 US, but now it's up to 90 US. So, you know, it's probably about even if we were using so much data on our cell. But it really is nice to have the dish because we're not so worried about, you know, staying below our data. You can see my data usage for the last little while here. I'm about halfway through my service month, and I'm at 118 gigabytes, so I'll probably finish. Last month I was around 250. Now they have implemented a cap for the first while, a year or so I had Starlink, there was no data cap at all. Now they're talking, they have a terabyte data cap, so obviously we're not going to get anywhere near that. We only use about a quarter of that, so really we don't have to worry anything about our usage, which is nice. As far as mounting the dish, I don't leave it on the ground because I don't really like having the cord lying around that rodents could chew, or someone could run over the dish itself and someone could drive into it. So I put it on the roof. If it's a quick overnight, I will just put it on the slide. I actually can step on my RV ladder and just put it up. I have long arms. But if I'm in a spot for a while, I get my ladder and I climb up on the roof. And then I have the excess cord up there, and I mount it kind of in a place that I won't get any shading on my solar panels. And because it could get really windy, the tripod's pretty stable, but I carry a heavy chain, couple of chains with me, so I have quite a heavy bit of chain that I'll put over the tripod mount, and it would take massive wind to blow that over. In that case, I'd probably bring it down, but I haven't had any problems so far with that. Even if it fell over, it probably wouldn't fall off the roof. Anyway, that's how I usually mount it. And then we take it down and store it inside when we travel. For powering this Starlink, I have an EcoFlow Delta Max power station, and for longer stays I'll put out its 400 watt solar panel, which will give me plenty of power. I have the older round dish, and it's 60 or 80 watts, and you add in the inverter and wiring losses, it's about 100 watts. So if we're using it all day, I need a hefty amount of energy to go back into that power station so that I don't have to run a generator. Although I can run the generator for a limited time, and that EcoFlow can accept 1600 watts at a time, so it's no problem just running the generator short time to get my power back. Anyway, that's what I do. I have the EcoFlow in my storage compartment, and you can see I also have the power brick for the Starlink in there, and then I have it plugged in. And also recently got a little device that's for turning it on and off. It's like a wireless remote, because often my wife Ann will like to have it in bed. She listens to certain things later into the night, so that way she can just conveniently turn it off so that the thing's not running all night. If for some reason we forgot to turn it off, it's good that it's not my main battery bank running it. It's actually the portable power station, so it could be exhausted and my main battery bank would still be fine, so we wouldn't be totally out of power because we left it on or something like that. But that's worked out pretty good for us. So one thing that could be a problem for us is using Starlink in a different country. I've gone through their terms of service, and there is Starlink for RV. That's not what I have. I have a residential with portability, but under that it says Starlink for RV can only be used within the same continent as a registered shipping address. If you use Starlink for RV services for more than 2 months in a country that is different from your shipping address, you will be required to move your registered address to the new location or purchase an additional Starlink to maintain service. But so far I haven't heard of anybody getting their account canceled, but I don't know. I don't know everybody that has a Starlink for RV, or maybe they're just letting it go. But in my case, I have portability, and I'm reading the terms of service limitations requirements. It says portability feature can only be used within the same continent as your registered service address. Starlink does not guarantee when or where portability will be available. Portability is dependent on many factors, including obtaining the necessary regulatory approvals. You acknowledge and agree that you are solely responsible, blah, blah, blah. But they don't mention anywhere that I can see the 2-month limitation that they specifically are mentioning in the Starlink for RV. So your mileage may vary. I guess I'm going to see. I turned it on November 2nd when we left, so I still got a ways till January 2nd. And if it turns off, if they kill my service, I'll be sure to come back and give you a report on that. Anyway, that's a quick update on the portability feature and how it's worked out for us so far. If anything changes, I'll come back with another update. But we've really enjoyed having the Starlink this trip. It's just we put it up, and within a few minutes it's grabbed its satellite, and we have high-speed internet just like we were on a home cable system or something. Also, it's opening up a lot more places for us. There were some places we would avoid just because the cell coverage would be fringe or not at all. Now, say we want to go down to, say, Death Valley National Park, where there's really no cell service. We used to have to go into the resort and buy time on their Wi-Fi. Now we could probably go down there, throw up the dish, and we'd have high-speed internet, and really helps enjoy our stay at places, especially because we're both uploading a lot of stuff on the internet and things like that. But it is nice to be able to, at night it gets dark and cold in the desert, and we can turn on our TV and stream some video TV shows and movies. Till next time, Ray from Love You RV. Any questions about it, just leave in the comments, and also I'll link back to all my previous videos on Starlink.